Hey Pea Chirpies, it's Mommy. I wanted to tell you a quick story. So there's only a few stories that I remember from Washington Road when we lived in Spartanburg because we moved from there when I was 5, and that's, right when your memories start forming. But I remember that house was like a big ranch house, and it had a basement and a big huge room where all the boys stayed in the same room together, except for when David and Pete got a little bit older, they moved down into the basement. And I remember thinking it was like such a mysterious treat to go down into the basement to hang out with Pete and David. And I have like memories of them always playing their Beatles album and The Who and the Rolling Stones. It was like the music of my babyhood. And I remember Pete always had weird projects going on down there. I also remember we had an incinerator outside where Mother burned all the trash, and we would go out there sometimes and poke it with sticks to watch rats run. Also, I remember there was a big swing in a tree that you hopped up on and sat on and swung out over the yard. The yard was like a hill that went down. And I don't really remember this story, but the story goes that Philip and Tim were playing on that swing and acting crazy and piled up leaves and were jumping off into the leaves, and that Philip jumped off and broke his arm in the leaves, and instantly knew that he had broken his arm. And I think they were only about maybe 11 and 12 then. Tim and Philip were very close in age, and they didn't want to get in trouble because Mother had told them to quit doing it. So Tim helped Philip into the house and wrapped it in wet towels and was nursing Philip back to health. And then much later in the day, Mother was like, "Where's Philip? Where's Philip?" She went in there and he was just beaded in sweat and pain. And she was like, "What happened?" And like, he had broken his arm at 10 a.m. and this was like 6 or 7 in the evening. That's kind of how we grew up. There was a bunch of us, so I think Mother was overwhelmed a lot. Anyway, I also remember that house kind of went in a circle. You could kind of start in the kitchen, walk through the family room, down the hall, and then come back up through the living room. And Tim was 7 years older than me, so when I was maybe 2 or 3 years old, he impressed me so much that there were evil elves in the living room behind the piano and up on top of the chandelier, up a light fixture, and the the eaves of the doorways and stuff, that Mother's Christmas elves that she made every year, they were kind of creepy. And Tim would say, "Look, I'll show them to you." And he would open a closet in there, and up in the very top of the closet, Mother had put some of those funny little elves that she had made. And Tim convinced me that they were real and that I shouldn't go into the living room, dining room by myself because the evil elves would eat me or attack me. I believed him. To this day, I don't like those little elves. So, Elf on a Shelf, not for me. All right, well, I love you. I'll leave you with some nanny wisdom. That would be, if somebody really gets up your crawl, kill them with kindness. It's the hardest thing to do. I swear you don't want to do it. Somebody's irritating the crap out of you and being a jerk. And if you're just so super ridiculously nice and kind to them and ask a favor of them or ask advice from them, it's kind of magic. Doesn't mean to be a carpet, doesn't mean to be run over. It just means to make that person feel like an idiot for being an asshole to you. I love you. More later. Mwah.